we are looking at the generic astrology. Generic means valid for everybody, regardless of who you are, what your birth chart is, what is your individual situation, case, whatever it is. We are all going through those growth stages in life. And it's a mixture of physical and psychological processes that need to happen if everything goes well. And on every step of the way, we are facing a different kind of crisis. And I think that we are also facing the development and accent on one particular function, one particular thing in us, say a planet, because we can connect in psychological astrology the planets in the chart with different things in us that have their own roles, their own things to govern in our life and to be kind of responsible for that department of our activities. And each one of those 7-year periods that we have been looking at so far has this sort of an accent to it. Today, too, we're going to have one spotlighted planet, and that will be Mars. You'll see in a minute why. But as usual, and because I know that some of you joined me for the first time today, just to make a very, very quick recap of where we are and what's the stage that we have reached today. We are actually just beyond the middle. As that's going to be 12 different times that we touch on the subject, and now it's number 7. So yeah, we are just crossing the threshold between, you can think of it as well, between the bottom part of the zodiac and the upper part of the zodiac. So the previous 6 steps were somehow related at the same time to the first 6 signs of the zodiac in their own way. And I won't repeat too much why and how, because you have the recordings. They're all on my website. If you're interested to go deeper into this, you can watch each one of the previous 6 talks and maybe update with me. What's that whole idea that I'm trying to convince you of here? That yes, there is a connection between the signs in terms of stages of the zodiacal journey that are symbolical to every process in life that we may want to take a look at. And maybe we can also say that each process goes through 12 steps, and there is some the signs can give us about what's going to happen during that step. So we had also so far 3 pairs of planets, so 6 meetings, and they were 12 different things, 12 different planets that each meeting was dedicated to, but they came in pairs. Today we're starting another pair, so the first planet of yet another pair, the 4th pair in the sequence. But so far we had beginning of life, from birth to the teenage years, we had 2 periods interconnected. 0 to 7 was the infancy period dedicated to the moon. So that was the planet, the function that we had to develop, to learn about, to find out how to play that game. And usually in that first period, that game was played for us by somebody else because we were so dependent. But as we grow further into the stages, we become more independent, we become more in control. And the more we know about the function of that particular planet, the more we can navigate, I think, in a very personal way, knowing that we are in the right track or not. So then, after the 7th year, 7 to 14th, we added Saturn. So we had this Moon, Saturn, mother-father figures pair. And from then on, another pair came through, which was Mercury combined with Uranus. So Mercury was the planet that I focused on when we were between age 14 and 21, and then Uranus was in the 20s, 21 to 28. After that, we reached the first Saturn return. So you see here, we're talking about cycles, stages, planets as markers of time as well. So the first Saturn return at around 30 years old, so between 28, 29, 30, was then falling into the 5th period that started the 3rd pair of our combined planets, Venus. Venus was that moment of life when we had to, do certain things to develop our self-esteem and so on and so forth. And that was the beginning of the 30s. Last time, we spoke about Neptune as the second part of the pair. And so we had Venus, Neptune. Basically, Moon, Saturn, Mercury, Uranus, then Venus, Neptune. And today we will continue with Mars. And later on, next time, I'm going to hopefully explain how that Martian energy that happens now is going to be complemented and added to in a very really complementary way as a logical connection with Pluto. So Pluto will be next time, but this time I'm going to be focusing on the planet Mars. And the other side of these talks, apart from focusing on a planet function, is really the cycles of the big planets, and mostly Saturn and Uranus. Saturn and Uranus split life in 7-year periods. Every 7 years, they do something different. They come to a new aspect, and that changes the atmosphere, that changes the challenges that we all face. And I think it's very interesting to follow and see what happens during each one of those steps. Now, Saturn is a bit faster, actually quite a lot faster. And from birth, every 7th next year, it makes one major aspect to itself, to where it was in your birth chart when the journey started. So from the moment of birth, after 7 years, Saturn makes its first square to itself, which is one of the 4 main aspects. Then 14th year, approximately between the 14th and 15th, we have an opposition of Saturn to its natal place. Another 7 years pass and we come to another square of Saturn to itself. This one is a bit different. I've explained that before, but we can touch on this again a little bit today because it will be relevant to our discussion. And then after another 7 years, so 4 times 7 years, Saturn makes one full circle. And in approximately 30 years' time, 28-30, it comes back to the same place where it started. And this is one of the most important moments in life, the so-called Saturn return. We looked at the first Saturn return already, so that was during the 5th talk, and there is one more to come, maybe 2 more to come, because I'm planning to go with this until very late age, very late old age, and do the full circle of the other big player in our cyclic clock here, astrological clock, which is Uranus. And just to remind you, I know that most of you very well know this already, but Uranus is the other 7-year splitting clock, but in a slightly different way. Maybe we can say it's the more distant, the more looking at the process from a distance, more globally, more completely planet, because every 7 years it also makes a new aspect, but these are 30-degree movements, 30-degree steps forward into the zodiac or into the whole 360-degree circle that every planet makes around the sun as it travels in its orbit around the sun. So Uranus takes approximately 84 years to go one full circle, and then if we split these 84 years in 7, we will have 12 equal periods. And so 12 equal periods of 7 years, but each time a 7-year period passes, Uranus is now 30 degrees forward from where it started. Today, Uranus will be extremely important to the stage of life that we have reached. It will be the main thing because we are going to have a unique aspect that never repeats in a human lifetime. That's the opposition of Uranus to its natal position. Because it takes 84 years to go full circle, we can see that it will never go half circle in our lifetime twice, only this one time around the beginning of the 40s. So yeah, today is probably the most important crisis point, even though I don't want to classify them, which one is more important than the other. In every one of these stages, something important happens that I think we need to take into account. Sometimes the process is a bit more internal, and it might be just as painful, just as difficult to go through whatever that period requires. But this one tends to be a bit more visible, a bit more explosive, due to Uranus mostly, but also due to the planet that now governs the show, which is Mars.